The top stories: Prime Minister Abiy says his government has double responsibility for free and fair election. And African leaders are in Kinshasa to hammer out details to boost trade on the continent. Hello and many thanks for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour. With the news, I'm Tabitha Dawn. Do stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy says his government has double responsibility for free and fair election. He stated the remark while holding deliberations with regional presidents and National Electoral Board leadership today. The premier added that the next election will move Ethiopia forward as the government is ready to fulfill its civic duty. Kasahun Jani has the following account.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says the government has a double responsibility to ensure this year's general election is peaceful, free and fair across the country. The Premier convened with regional presidents and National Election Board leadership to follow up on the direction provided in a meeting of last week.
The upcoming elections are consequential in Ethiopia's democratization process. I would like to urge all stakeholders to do their utmost in delivering a successful and peaceful election. Concerning the current security incidents, I call upon citizens to depart from emotion-led actions, rather work together for the stability and peace of the country.
Following National Elected Board of Ethiopia's report that many polling stations were still pending, regions committed to ensuring request support to expedite the setting up of stations. Resultantly, both National Elected Board of Ethiopian regions confirmed the progress made over the past week to set up polling stations and register voters.
To mention a few, I could start with the region where there is no election polls. I would like to advise you now, and hopefully you are going to solve these problems after you return from here, as there were border demarcation and some other areas where there were conflicts. There are still a lot of polling centers which are not yet opened in some affected areas.
The meeting also explored security preparedness among all regions in ensuring that the elected process is peaceful and unhindered by agents of instability.
I would like to assure you that as the regions have given due attention to the upcoming national election and working devotedly, there are some implications that help to infer as there may be a favorable condition ahead. In this regard, the National Security tried to conduct an assessment on the National Electoral Security Committee statement and confirmed that, with the exception of a few hotspots, many polling stations throughout the country are ready to peacefully undertake elections.
It was noted that in most states, voter registration performance is over 50%, and the board will discuss to decide on the extension, requesting voter registration to be extended ahead.
In news related to the GERD, a political science researcher and international relations expert at the Diredawa University, Surafil Getahun, slams Egypt and Sudan for the frequent interruptions of the GERD talks. In an exclusive interview with ETV English, Surafil said the three countries have no other option but to stick to the AU-led negotiations, respecting the notion of African solutions for African problems. Alula Taklamariam reports.
Ethiopia is erecting Africa's biggest hydropower dam for its quest to a substantial economic improvement by providing ample electric power to the more than 100 million people it inhabits. But Egypt fears the dam will imperil its supplies of Nile water, while Sudan is concerned about the dam's safety and water flows through its own dams and water stations. Consequently, trilateral talks over the GERD have been interrupted as the downstream countries fail to accept Ethiopia's natural and legal rights to use its natural resources. In an exclusive interview with ETV, a political science researcher and international relations expert at the Dawa University, Surafiel Getahun blamed Egypt and Sudan for the frequent interruption of the GERD negotiations.
Look, when it comes to the GERD negotiation, actually, it's almost 10 years, but no fruit. Because of stagnant position of both the countries, upper states of Egypt and Sudan, which is really, this country from the beginning, the most obstacle for the Nile River cooperation in this regard, Nile Basin. So still, when it comes to GERD, this country was created their own problems. You see, the African Unions, the recent African AU-led negotiations are failed. Previously negotiations are failed because of the positions they held, right? So I see, just even the current negotiations failed due to, just disturbance created because Egyptians are obstructionist. From the beginning, we see, due to that, there is no progress in this regard.
Surafiel further expressed the need for more investment in the public diplomacy sector to share Ethiopia's positive intention for equitable utilization of the Nile water.
I suggest government, just to strengthen its relation with the foreign countries, especially by creating awareness about the dam, the importance of the dam, how really important the dam is important, not for Ethiopia, but the entire region, especially in terms of, just achieving, elevating sustainable development challenge, energy issue, energy securitization, which is important need, by the way. In this regard, why Ethiopia needs this dam? Government need to work hard with public relations, with creating awareness throughout the world. Through our embassy need to work in this regard. Our diplomats work hard in this regard, because that is one way we can win Egypt, because it's an international campaign, the smearing campaign of the name of Ethiopia internationally. So Ethiopia is always committed for international peace and security. Ethiopia is always obeys the international law. But what the government, the Egyptian government do is, that are smearing the name of Ethiopia through international environment. This is what governments need to commit in this regard, by creating awareness, at the same time by working public diplomacy with different countries. That is the target of the government,
The political expert calls on Ethiopian scholars and the public in general to contribute share in maintaining the country's national interest.
The general public need to be, united, united in this regard. People need to be united for common joint interest. It's a national interest. Nile is not, GERD is not belong to some political party group or some ethnic group. It is a whole Ethiopian interest. The money are collected from the whole Ethiopian without considering ethnicity or religious differences. So in all Ethiopians, without any difference, they have to be united for joint interest. Sometimes scholars need to work hard, especially scholars, those who engage in different researches, those scholars who are really working abroad in different international organizations, institutions, and UN and other. They need to create awareness, by the way, in this regard. They are also diplomats of Ethiopia.
Ethiopia is determined to execute the second filling of the dam this rainy season, deal or no deal.
An Ethiopian-American water resource expert defies Sudan's call for a closed-door meeting over GERD. Urging Ethiopia to always be open for negotiation, the expert underscored that changing the role of observers or mediators over the negotiation does not help to solve the issue. Goshu Melissa reports.
Last week, Sudan called its counterparts Egypt and Ethiopia for a closed-door meeting over the filling and operation of the GERD. In an exclusive interview with ETV English regarding the call, an Ethiopian-American water resource expert, Russo Asafa, suggested that there is no need to have a closed-door meeting over the issue.
Sudan is invoking an article which is in the 2015 Declaration of Principle that the three countries signed. I cannot speculate what they would do in a closed door if they accept that. I did not hear from both Egypt and Ethiopia accepting that, but I can say what they should do in an open door, which is don't politicize the issue. They should be able to at least get into a filling agreement. Currently, there is excellent water resources. We see forecasts for the summer to be above average rainfall and hydrologic condition. Egypt is at 20 years high storage in the Aswan High Dam. Ethiopia is planning to take 13.5 billion meter cubes. This will not impact at all.
Rousseau explained that changing the role of observers or mediators over GERD negotiation doesn't help to solve the issue, as the matter lies between the three countries.
Changing the role of observers or adding more mediators and bringing more people into this negotiation, I believe will not solve the underlying major agreement. They do need, the three countries need to address the major issue. They have to address the elephant in the room, which is water sharing. So there is a fundamental major disagreement on what they are dealing. So as you see some of the proposal from Egypt, what you are seeing is that there is a water sharing agreement bundled in those release scenarios of drought and prolonged drought, which translate to 0% allocation for Ethiopia. And Ethiopia find that a non-starter. As you can imagine, the country producing 86% of the total Nile flow should get something. So I think by changing observers, by bringing more institution into mediation, will not change the underlying disagreement.
Commenting on the negotiation process, Rousseau underlined that there is no other alternative than roundtable discussion to address the issue.
I think, in my opinion, they have to go back to the negotiating table. There is no other alternative than that to address this issue. I believe if they stop using GERD as a water sharing instrument, I'm pretty sure they will be able to reach at least the first filling agreement that can satisfy all the three countries and work through other issues that probably will take more time. So I think for me, going back to the negotiating table is the way to solve the problem.
If the three countries deliberate smartly, Rousseau said, the water is enough for all riparian countries to their quest for development.
There is enough water in the basin today. And in the future, they could work on how they could diversify, the smart way of using both the supply and demand side and address that. And we can talk that as well. But there is enough water if there is a will that they should be able to solve this problem. But without addressing the major issue here, which is the unfair water allocation, and trying to use the GERD as a negotiation, a water sharing instrument, it's not going to work. And because you bring other mediator or others, they're not going to change the fundamental issue here.
It is to be recalled that Ethiopia Wednesday suggested meeting of Bureau of the Assembly of the AU to end standoff over GERD talks.
Hi, my name's Brooke Thomas Haftweld. I was born and raised in the UK. I do not like what the Egyptians are doing to Ethiopia. This is my dam.
It's my dam. It's my dam.
It's my dam.
It's my dam. It's my dam.
It is my dam.
It is my dam. It's my dam.
I feel very proud that Ethiopia has gotten where she is now, because back in the days, obviously, Ethiopia didn't have many things. It was very a poor country, and now it's getting richer and richer because many more educated, smarter people are coming, and people are learning more things that Ethiopia is a very amazing country. We just have to figure it out, and we just have to show other countries that we can be better than America, better than
Welcome back. Ethiopian representative to the Public Diplomacy Institute in South Korea, Rahel Sarbesa, firmly upholds Ethiopia's upper hand in the GERD diplomacy. She called upon Ethiopians to defy a widespread circulation of disinformation about the GERD. Emmanuel Jorge reports.
An Ethiopian public diplomat based in South Korea, Rahel Sarbesa, told ATV that Ethiopia is in the upper hand compared to Egypt and Sudan's diplomacy in trilateral negotiations over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam.
We are in the upper hand when we compare the Egyptian diplomacy, the Sudanese and the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians did not change their stances toward the GERD. They are always saying that according to the technical or the other issues, we are not going to harm them. So this has to be our stance. Even if GERD is filled, we're not going to harm the Egyptian population or the Sudanese. So we are taking the upper hand, I think, in this case.
She emphasized Egypt is messing around with false propagandas on the GERD, disseminating through different social media platforms, which Ethiopians should counter.
Egyptians, they use multiple strategies. Sometimes they try to disseminate a false information that the GERD is going to cause harm to the population. So they have a phobia toward this GERD. So in this case, we have to correct the international communities that GERD is not going to cause harm to them, right? Mm-hmm. So in this case, we have to change the perception of the world, also the perception of the Egyptian population or the Sudanese about its merits and demerits.
The public diplomat suggested Ethiopia to have direct strategy and goals in digital diplomacy in order to specify who's going to be addressed in the international arena.
We need to have a direct strategy or a goals, how we are going to influence the population of the Egypt. Are we going to influence the population of the Egypt, or are we going to influence the population of the international community? We need to have specific targets. So if we have a specific targets, it is easy to change their perception toward this GERD.
With regard to the laggard of tripartite negotiations, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed requested the African Union chairperson to call the meeting of the African Union Bureau of Assembly in a letter addressed to the Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. The AU-led process over the disputed Mega Dam project to provide an opportunity to deal with the three countries was interrupted for 9 rounds so far.
Ethiopian Science and Higher Education Ministry urges universities to actively engage in fostering Ethiopia's overall development. At a conference held in Wolaita Sodo University, 15 Ethiopian applied science universities launched their 10-year strategic plans. Demis Mekriel has more.
Ethiopia has 52 state-owned universities, of which 47 of them are classified according to their excellence. The country has now 15 applied science universities, and they disclosed their 10-year strategic plan at a conference held in Wolaita Sodo University. During the event, Ethiopian Science and Higher Education State Minister Professor Afwerki also urges the institution to engage in fostering Ethiopia's overall development.
የአፕላይድ ሳይንስ ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች ልዩ ተልዕኮ የተሰጣቸው የሀገራችን ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች ናቸው።
Applied science universities are given special mission to speed up Ethiopia's development. We as a country can move forward to prosperity if we work more in the industry sector. We can also be harnessing all the agriculture, tourism, and mining sectors as well if we exploit them with proper knowledge. So your role is irreplaceable.
ለአፕላይድ ሳይንስ ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች ይህንን የኢትዮጵያ ራዕይ
Professor Afwerki comments academic research performance of different universities and their contribution in the fight against COVID-19, quoting their last 9 months performance report. He also appreciated the university's focus to utilize indigenous knowledge in their academic research and called upon them to further strengthen such best practices.
በተለይ ኮቪድ በቴክኖሎጂ በፈጠራ ዙሪያ ብዙ ነገር ነው ዩኒቨርሲቲዎቻችንን ያሳየው።
Unlike any of their engagements before, our university academicians worked better in the fight against COVID-19. Their innovative work has indeed brought meaningful change. This exemplifies you have a lot to contribute in other sectors.
Ethiopia is aspiring to maintain paths of development, and the applied science universities vowed to contribute their share sooner than later.